best invention ever if you have a dually. If you don't have one of these, you need to get yourself one of these. It makes the hitching up process so much simpler and less wear and tear on your back. You know, I forgot to show you guys this angle. So this is that auxiliary camera that I installed on the side of my bed to be able to give me that side view of the hitching up process. It absolutely worked flawlessly. It let me know my clearance. It let me know exactly when the Goosebox was over the ball. It just worked flawlessly. I'm going to work with Camera Source to see if they can actually make a package available to buy that gets you the correct camera with this kit. Because traditionally, if you get this kit, you're getting a reverse camera, which is going to give you a mirror image of this, versus this view, which is your standard camera. So I'll work with them in case you guys are interested in putting this setup on your own truck. So what's going on, guys? We are taking off with the fifth wheel on its maiden Goosebox tow adventure. The process of hitching up takes a little longer because of the safety chains. Getting into the bed, looping up the safety chains. Also because you have to raise the fifth wheel slightly higher off the ground, or at least the nose, to get it over the ball. That being said, the process really wasn't any more difficult in terms of labor. It just took a little bit longer. And if I had to guess, I'd say probably maybe about 5 minutes longer. I got a good friend of mine with me. What would you say, about 5 minutes longer? About 5 minutes. Yeah, it's not too much longer. I'm going to stop right here, take a picture of the side profile, because I showed you guys the fact that I went with the B&W OEM hitch, and it sits about 2 inches taller than the Reese Elite ball that goes at the back, and I just wanted to see how everything leveled out. So let's take a look at the outside of the truck. So it's sitting probably about 3/4 of an inch higher in the front. It's not very much higher at all, and it's pretty much level. So I'm satisfied with that because it's still giving me the bed clearance that I need between the overhang of the fifth wheel and the bed rails on the truck. But it's pretty dang close to level, so I'm happy with this setup. So now being level is the goal. You want your fifth wheel to be perfectly level. You want your truck to be as level as possible. But that's not always going to be a reality without doing some major modification to the suspension of your fifth wheel, whether it's flipping the axles and putting them on the opposite side of the leaf spring or some other major modification. My fifth wheel actually already went through one of them when I installed the Moride SRE 4000 suspension enhancement on my rig. And it raised the RV up at about 1 inch. But the problem with these newer trucks is that they sit so high in the back. To get the proper overhang bed clearance that you need, which is generally going to be about 6.5 inches, you have to set the nose of the fifth wheel up, of course, higher than you might want to. Now, of course, having too much rake with the front of your fifth wheel is never a good thing. You don't want the front sitting atrociously high compared to the back, because that can cause all sorts of issues, including potentially cause your rear tires on the fifth wheel to blow out, simply because you're transferring a lot more weight to them. One of the nice things about the Moride suspension that I have is it does a really good job of equalizing the load across both axles. We are now on the road. Everything is going really, really smooth. This feels honestly very similar to a traditional fifth wheel hitch and traditional pin box setup. It doesn't feel like it's a totally different driving or towing experience. Now, what I'll tell you is, because of the design of the Kingpin in my previous pin box, there was a little bit of movement inside the jaws of my B&W Companion, which caused a little bit of noise, and when you'd slow down, you could kind of feel a clunk. And it wasn't the fault of the B&W Companion hitch, it was the fault of the Kingpin that I had in the pin box prior. This system, of course, because it's a Gooseball-based system, it is just a totally different experience from that perspective. There's no clunking. It's definitely a solid connection. I don't feel any type of chucking. I don't feel any type of issue. We have about 15 mile an hour winds, so it's not very windy right now, and the road is relatively smooth, so I hope to hit a rougher patch of road here just to kind of get the overall feel of how it handles. But overall, it's towing very, very nice. It's a good experience, and I'm happy that I've made this upgrade. To me, it's an upgrade because it clears out the bed of my truck. In the process, I've gone to a system that is overbuilt even for what I'm using it for. The Goosebox that I went with is rated at 20,000 pounds, so it's the higher rated Goosebox system. And the Gooseball that I'm using is the B&W OEM Gooseball, which drops right into the Ford fifth wheel gooseneck prep package, and it's rated at 30,000 pounds. Plus, I'm using safety chains. They're grade 8 steel safety chains that will keep everything connected together in the event of an emergency. And everything, in my opinion, is set up ideally. It's a good towing experience. It's not a huge departure from the traditional fifth wheel hitch and pin box setup that you might be used to. For me, it's just a more convenient setup because it takes up very little room in the bed. I have the airbag. I think we pumped it up right to about 45 pounds, and it's definitely providing a little bit of cushion. You can see actually in the back that the box moves slightly, and it allows for a little bit of dampening because it has 2 shock absorbers plus an airbag to help smoothen the ride. Slowing down, yeah, there's no surging feel. It feels very confident. If you're looking to do this upgrade and you're looking to do it because you want to free up bed space in the back of your truck, then this is a good upgrade to do. If you're doing it just to do it because you want to go to a gooseneck style connection, you know, I don't know if it's necessary. You know, a companion hitch or whatever type of fifth wheel hitch you have, plus your pin box and Kingpin, is probably going to work fine. This, for me, is just a better setup because it meets my needs more. It gives me the ability to simply use one ball. If I need to remove it, I can pull it out. I don't have to worry about any type of scenario where I show up to a store, I need to pick something up, and I can't because I have a 200-pound fifth wheel hitch in the back. So we are headed back to the storage facility to drop off the fifth wheel. What I can tell you is my overall impression, and we went over all different types of road surfaces. Some of them we recorded, some of them we didn't, but we've been driving now for probably about 20 to 30 miles overall, and it really is a good experience. Now, I'll say again, it's not a huge departure from towing with a traditional fifth wheel hitch, traditional Kingpin, traditional pin box, but it definitely is a good towing experience. I didn't feel anything throughout the entire process from hitching up to towing with it that would make me go, this isn't something I want. Now, once we go to unhitch the fifth wheel, if there's any type of a snag or any type of an issue, I'll definitely post that up as well, but I anticipate it's going to be relatively smooth. One thing that I've heard as a best practice, though, is to let a little bit of air out of the airbag in the Goosebox because it makes decoupling a little bit easier. So if that presents a problem, I'll record it and I'll show you guys, but overall, I think that the experience has been positive, and I would recommend this to somebody who's trying to accomplish the same thing of removing the bulk of a fifth wheel hitch out of the bed of their truck and replacing it with something that's far easier to work with. Honestly, guys, for me to remove the B&W Gooseball from the bed takes all of 5 seconds. It probably weighs all of 10 pounds, and there's no effort to it at all. Versus, you know, anytime you see a fifth wheel hitch in the bed of your truck and you need to remove it, you kind of have to prep yourself for a second and figure out what you're going to do, where it's going to go, you know, how long of a distance you're going to have to carry it, because there is a lot of weight to it. So yeah, we had to do the same thing we did when we installed it and tested it. We had to dump all the air from the airbag in order for it to lift off, because if you don't, it's just going to want to kind of follow the hitch ball down. And you can see the tension on the cable right now is because the assembly wants to kind of fall down a little bit when you are lifting the fifth wheel up, but it is finally lifting the ball off. So we are all unhitched. RV's back where it belongs. Everything went pretty smoothly. Again, guys, if you have air inside of this bag, or at least anything above about 15 pounds, it's going to cause the bag to want to follow the ball down as you decouple. We just kind of dropped the air out of the bag until the bag was no longer pressing down on the ball assembly, and you know, after a while we still had to raise it pretty high, but we were able to completely decouple and everything's really good. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a big thumbs up. I really want to thank Brian for helping me out today. It was definitely a lot of help that I needed with the filming of all this, but it all went really smoothly. Guys, we'll talk to you again soon.